Hello and welcome back to my channel, where I present to you another nerdy video. It's actually been a while since I made a Pokemon video, I think, but I know some of you really want me to make more Pokemon content, so here's that, I guess. One thing that I used to do a lot is to, what are they called? Ginjinkas? That word that I can't pronounce, but I'll put on the screen right now. I used to like making those of Pokemon, which is a very common thing. At least I think. I've seen a lot of them on the internet, so I'm going to assume it's a common thing. But I used to do that a lot, and I haven't done any in a while, and I've been meaning to, like, try it again, because we all know I love designing characters. Character design is one of my favorite things, so that's what this is, only with the Generation 8 starters, because Sword and Shield is getting really close to coming out, and I really want to play it, so here's this. So, of course, first up, we have Seagrass Starter Pokemon, Grooky, who's my personal favorite of the bunch, to be honest. Out of all of them, he was the hardest to design, because I don't know, I just had a really hard time taking design elements from Grooky and putting them on a human character. In the end, I think it turned out alright, but it was definitely a big struggle. I didn't really know what direction to make the character in, because Grooky has like a music theme around it with like the stick drummy thingy that he does, so I wasn't really sure what to do with that, because he uses a stick as a drumstick, but people don't normally do one drumstick, and I didn't want to give him two drumsticks because Grooky only has one. I thought about making up a flute, but I was like, is that too much of a stretch? So I ended up doing the one drumstick, even though it can kind of look weird, but I think because of the pose, it turned out fine. One of the first things that definitely popped into mind when I was designing him, though, was like the vest, because you know how sometimes with like a vest that you'll wear with like a suit or something, there's like that buckle in the back? I thought that like if I did that but then make the tiny little belt like a lot longer than it normally is, it would kind of mimic like the tail, so I kind of ended up basing the rest of the design off of that. I always pictured the vest being brown, which is why I made it brown, but I also added some different elements and added like different shades of brown just to break it up a little bit and make it a little bit more visually interesting. And then after that, it was really just like everything kind of came easy once I was able to figure that out. The dress shirt, of course, like I did it because it looks nice with the vest. I gave him like long orange gloves just because Grooky has like orange arms, so that's it. The pants, I couldn't really tell you what I was thinking when I picked them. I guess it's just something that I thought looked nice, so I did that. I actually made them a little bit of a darker green instead of like the regular Grooky color green, just because I felt like it needed a little bit more contrast. And then of course the brown socks and orange shoes. Once I was able to get like the design down, I was able to just like place colors in similar places, I guess. Does that make sense? Even though the vest is brown, but anyways. I also wasn't really sure what to do with like the face pattern that Grooky has. As you can see, I decided to just give him a mask, which I'm not really sure if it fits like the theme of the character, but then again, what really is the theme of this character? So I ended up doing that, and in the end I think it looks nice. I'm pretty happy with the way that this one turned out. Out of all three of them, I think that this one has the best drawing. I don't know, I think that I did a really good job with that one. One thing that I was really hung up on with doing was the skin, because Grooky is green. And I don't know, I wasn't really sure what kind of skin tone would look nice. I tried making more of like an orangey skin tone, like a darker orange skin tone, but I couldn't really get that to look right. The skin tone ended up being a lot lighter and paler than I thought it would be, or at least like what I was going for. I still think it looks nice, and there still is like an orange base underneath the skin, but I think that that was like the most difficult part of coloring this. And another really hard part about coloring this was like the shading, because you'll notice in all of them, I wanted to shade with colors that are like similar to the Pokemon's type. So the first one I drew was actually Scorbunny, and so I shaded the Scorbunny drawing with like oranges and reds because Scorbunny's a fire type. And for Grooky, it was a little bit more difficult because Grooky's a grass type, so obviously like green is the color. But green is like a really weird color to shade with, and it just doesn't look nice. I tried at first going with more of like a bluey green, but that still didn't look nice, and so what I ended up doing was just shading Grooky with blue. Instead of using blue for Sobble, just so I could keep them all different, I ended up using purple, which looks nice. I wish I could have used a blue for Sobble, but I mean, what can you do? I wasn't really sure what the best thing to do would be, but I did that. So I also decided to add the shadow in the background of the actual Pokemon that they're based off of, just because I thought it would look nice. I want to start adding more stuff like that in my art, and not necessarily like backgrounds, like full illustrations of like a scene or anything like that, but when I do illustrations like this where it's just a character, I want to add more elements like that, just so it feels less like it's a character just floating on the white space of the screen, you know? And I'm really happy with what I did. You will see that the background is consistent with all of them, obviously with the shadow changing for whichever Pokemon it is. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It might be my favorite, but I'm also probably biased because Grooky is my favorite starter out of all of them. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to do. Also, the pose that he's in is literally entirely based off of the vest because I wanted to really show off that tail thing that I was talking about earlier, and I felt like you wouldn't really get the idea of what it is if you couldn't see the back of the vest in some way, so there you go. I didn't just burp, what are you talking about? And next up we have Scorbunny. Like I said, Scorbunny was the first one that I drew, and honestly the only reason it was the first one that I drew is because I felt like it was the easiest to translate from Pokemon to human. Scorbunny has a very clear soccer theme. It's just a very obvious and prominent thing in Scorbunny's design, so that's just immediately the direction I went with. Now, I don't know anything about soccer or sports in general, so I kind of just made up a bunch of stuff while keeping the design of Scorbunny in mind. In the end, it definitely reads soccer, but I feel like there are some parts of the design that don't really, like, make sense for a soccer uniform. Like, I'm not sure if you would wear these kinds of gloves with it, but, you know, I added that just because I thought it would fit the design. This one actually took me the longest to make out of all of them, because since this was the first one that I made in this, like, little, collection series, whatever. Since this was the first one that I made, I wasn't really sure what kind of style I wanted these pieces to have, so it was definitely a lot of experimenting with that, but in the end, I like it, obviously, because I did the same thing for all three of them. For this one, I think the hardest part to design was, like, the hair, because in the end I decided to have the hair mimic, like, the cheek tufts of fur that Scorbunny has, but I had a hard time making them look kind of right. I think having one piece of hair tucked behind the ear, that helped. Not sure how it helped, but it helped. After that, this design came really easy to me. It was just a matter of coloring it at some point, which of course was easy. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. One of the things in this design that I was really excited for was doing the hair bow. Now, soccer players probably wouldn't wear a hair bow like that, but I thought that it would be a really fun way to kind of mimic Scorbunny's ears, and then I also had one stray piece of hair just sticking out to mimic, again, that one that Scorbunny has, which I think is very realistic, because I feel like we all have that one tiny tuft of hair that just won't do what we want it to. I know that I have one. Arranging the colors was a little bit difficult for this one, just because, like, I didn't want too many, like, clashing, if that makes sense. Like, obviously the base color of Scorbunny was white, so I already knew that I would have, like, I wanted white hair, I wanted the gloves to be white, and I wanted the base for the shirt and the pants to be white. But after that, arranging the different shades of orange and red orange, that one was a little bit difficult, and I believe there's also, like, a lighter shade of, like, an orangey yellow. It was kind of difficult making sure that the same color wasn't too close together and that all the colors were spread out. I think I did a great job with it, but it was definitely difficult. Probably the most difficult part of this, to be honest, especially the shoes, because again, I don't know anything about soccer, and I've never drawn soccer cleats before, so that was a fun thing. I really like this one too. I really like how all of them came out, honestly. I think that this one captures, like, kind of the personality of Scorbunny really well, and it was just a lot of fun to draw, honestly. I also put the National Pokédex number of Scorbunny as, like, the jersey number, which is probably not too much of, like, a creative idea, let's be honest, but, you know, people in sports usually have their number, so I guess that's that one. I thought about making the uniform like the gym uniforms that are going to be in Sword and Shield, because if you do keep up with Pokemon, you'll know that, like, in the new games, you'll have, like, a uniform, because, like, the gyms are kind of like soccer arenas, and so you'll have, like, a soccer-esque uniform to wear when you're doing gym battles. And I thought about doing that, but I decided against it just because I'm supposed to be, like, designing it from scratch, I guess, and I feel like it would have been a little bit of a cop-out if I decided to do that. Also, a detail that I wish I was able to, like, emphasize a little bit more is, like, the shirt. Like, you know how sometimes people will tie, like, the bottom of their shirt to make it a little bit more cropped? I did something like that, but I did it in the back, so then that way the knot can kind of resemble, like, a rabbit's tail. Which I thought was a really clever idea, but because of like the pose that I picked and everything, it was really hard to see. I tried making it peek out the side a little bit there, you'll notice, but I don't know, I feel like I could have chosen a different pose that could have played with that idea a little bit more. I do like the pose and everything, but I don't know, I wish I kind of picked something different, and another reason why is because of the soccer ball. I guess Grooky kind of also has a prop because of like the drumstick, but that is more because like Grooky basically has a drumstick in its design, and Scorbunny doesn't really have a soccer ball in its design, so I kind of wish I picked something else just so I can keep them a little bit more consistent, because Grooky barely has a prop and Sobble doesn't have a prop. But, you know, I still like it. I still think it was a fun piece to make. Yeah, each of these pieces is my favorite in its own way. Like I said with Grooky, the drawing itself is my favorite. Like, just like the technical parts of drawing, I think that the Grooky one came out the best. And Scorbunny, I think, has the best, like, design from, like, based off of a Pokemon, you know? Like, I feel like I translated Scorbunny to a human better than I did with the other two. And last, but not least, we have Sobble. Everyone's favorite anxiety-filled lizard. So with Scorbunny and Grooky, they have very prominent themes. Like Scorbunny has a very obvious soccer theme and Grooky has a very obvious music theme. But then like Sobble's is a little bit less on the nose in the design. And I'm not really going to talk about it too much now because it hasn't really been confirmed as much as the others, but there is a certain leak going around that talks about it. But you know, I wasn't really sure how to incorporate that theme, so I kind of just decided to leave it out and play more on like the anxiety and shyness that Sobble tends to show. And so of course I went with a shy little girl, because of course I did. This one I had a lot of fun drawing the outfit and stuff because I just really wanted to keep like really big and poofy clothes and then just stick to round shapes because Sobble has a lot of round shapes in its design. For this one, the thing that I like better than the others is like the personality. I think that I did a really good job of capturing a lot of personality in the pose and the facial expression. So that's really fun. This one took me the shortest amount of time to draw just because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like design-wise this one is a lot more simple than the other ones. Not to say that it's bad because I do really like this one too, but design-wise, it's definitely a little bit more simple than the other ones, so I took a lot less time making this one, but I still had a lot of fun with it. It was a little bit difficult trying to figure out, like, certain features to translate from Sobble. Like, some of them were really easy. Like, the blue and the white blue, like, on the skin, like, that pattern I just put on the dress, and I added a lot of circle details everywhere. And then, like, the yellow fin on top I made into a hair clip. The things like the tail, and then like its hands and feet, which look really weird, those were a little bit difficult to do. For the tail, what I decided to do was put it at the end of the dress and kind of make it like tied, so then that way it's like she pinched together the back at the bottom of her dress to make it look like a tail, I guess. And then for the hands and feet, I added these little dangly bits to the sock, which is definitely a big stretch. Like, you definitely probably couldn't tell that that's what that's supposed to be, but I didn't know what to do. They're a very odd shape, and I was just very confused about what to do with that. The color scheme came really easy as far as, like, placing the colors. I think the part that I had the most difficult time with was the shoes and the socks. I wasn't sure how to arrange the colors without making them, like, blend in together, and I feel like I had a difficult time making it so then you would look at them and be able to tell what's what. But in the end, it looks nice again. And then also that like fin at the top that I turned into the hair clip thingy, I brought that down in the shoes just to bring more yellow throughout the illustration. And then also to bring more yellow, I gave her kind of like a yellowish base skin tone. I also made her quite pale because I figured if she really is like shy and anxious, she probably wouldn't get out much, so she would probably be a little bit more pale. And Sobble has like these blue rings next to his eyes, which I think are supposed to resemble like tears. And I ended up putting those on the dress, but I also wanted to really emphasize tears in the character design, so the tears are going over the hair, which makes absolutely no logical sense. But I mean, it looks nice in an illustration, I guess. And like I said, I ended up using purple for the shading because I ended up using blue for Grooky. And again, I wish I could have used blue, but I do a color overlay for pretty much all of my digital art illustrations. And so for that one, I made it blue, and I think that it makes the shading look a lot more like an indigo instead of a purple. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one too. I think that she turned out adorable, and honestly, these characters are probably something I'm going to continue drawing because I just love them all so much. I had so much fun making these. I really want to get back into making these like human versions of Pokemon again, so give this video a thumbs up if you want me to keep doing that, because I would love to. As of recording this, none of their evolutions have been revealed, so I would love to do those when that does happen. I can kind of make them into like older versions of these characters. That would be really fun. And I'd also love to do not only other Galar Pokemon, Gen 8 Pokemon. I would love to do more of those, but I'd also like to do other ones because in my old art videos I drew a couple, and I think it would be fun to revisit some of those designs and redraw them. And I feel like I'm rambling, but what else is new? Also comment down below which of these drawings is your favorite, and also which starter is your favorite, and let me know which one you're going to be picking if you do play one of these games. I always play both of the Pokemon games. In one of them I am absolutely 100% picking Grooky. The one that I'm picking for the other one, I'm a little bit on the fence about. I'm leaning towards Sobble, but really it depends on what other Pokemon are available. But yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed how all of these turned out, and let me know what you guys think of them, and subscribe if you haven't, because I make art videos every single week, or at least I try to. So if you like the art in here, that would be really, really awesome. I would really appreciate it. We're getting really close to 50,000, so let's see if we could do that. You should also consider following me on social media. They're on screen now and linked in the description box below. I would recommend following me on Instagram if you have an Instagram, because that is where I post my art and I'm just generally more active. And there will be a video on screen now and in the iCard for you to check out if you want. If you do, that would be awesome. So I will hopefully see you next week, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.